Right on Google Maps, lie restricted sites, completely erased from the public eye, and these aren't your ordinary military bases. From biohazard islands right next to Manhattan to elite private groves where political titans shaped world history in total secrecy. You think you know America, but you've never seen what's buried under these exact coordinates, and it all begins in the cold waters between New York and Connecticut. In the cold waters between New York and Connecticut lies a heavily restricted island chain shrouded in total secrecy. It begins at Little Gull Island, home to an isolated lighthouse built back in the 1800s. Auctioned off to a private owner for $381,000, this tiny rock was locked down completely. In over 10 years, only a single, highly restricted group tour was ever permitted onto the island before access was sealed forever. Right next door on Great Gull Island, things get even stranger. Satellite imagery reveals massive circular concrete pits carved directly into the cliffs. Hidden staircases plunge straight into subterranean bunkers, leading down to heavy military bases buried right into the terrain along Fisher Street. Further down the chain on Plum Island, high-res views show pitch-black inland lakes, weird circular patterns on the ground, and massive bright blue tarps stretched over mounds, pinned down by dozens of car tires. Past the Fort Terry helipad stands Building 101, a high-security government facility where researchers spent decades studying contagious viruses and biological threats in extreme isolation. Every underground vault, blast door, and air hatch scattered across these woods was engineered with one goal: to ensure no pathogen could ever leak to the mainland. Today, the perimeter is strictly enforced by armed federal security and patrol vessels. Landing here without high-level clearance means immediate arrest, heavy fines, and a forced bio-quarantine. By the way, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. And if you want a full dedicated video breaking down any of these mysterious locations in detail, tell us in the comments below so we know what you want to see next. An entire island chain locked down to contain invisible pathogens. Now, shift the satellite map thousands of miles across the ocean, where military isolation takes on a completely different scale. Rising out of a 4,000-meter abyss, Wake Atoll appears on satellite maps as a sharp ring of coral built around a glowing white lagoon. This isn't a tropical resort, it's one of the most remote and heavily guarded outposts on Earth. Looking closer at the terrain, a 3-kilometer main runway cuts straight across the coral next to a wide concrete tarmac. Along the edges sit heavy fuel storage tanks, overgrown foundations, and unique hexagonal hardstands designed to spread out military aircraft. Right near the shore, a rusting World War II twin-barrel cannon still points out toward the open water. Behind its historical surface, the island operates as a restricted testing ground for the United States Missile Defense System. Heavy concrete bunkers, active radar arrays, and command vaults drilled straight into the coral rock remain operational beneath the thick brush. Managed directly by the United States Air Force, the entire atoll is completely off-limits. Commercial vessels and civilian aircraft are strictly barred from entering the surrounding waters or airspace. Unauthorized entry guarantees immediate military interception, heavy federal fines, and the seizure of your vessel. From World War II battlegrounds to active missile interceptors, Wake Atoll remains locked behind total military secrecy. Tracking 500 miles northeast across the open Pacific grid, another coral lagoon emerges on satellite maps revealing Midway Atoll. Ringed by glowing turquoise waters, this isolated outpost holds two completely contrasting islands, forming one of the most strictly protected off-grid zones under United States control. Satellite views reveal an incredible contrast between these two islands. Sand Island features an active 3-kilometer runway, giant seaplane hangars, and hidden subsurface structures marked as underground concrete star bunkers. Right across the channel sits Eastern Island, a completely abandoned piece of land covered in overgrown, decaying airstrips. This isn't just an isolated bird sanctuary. For decades, the United States Navy operated this island as a heavily fortified Pacific stronghold and top-secret Cold War submarine tracking hub. Underneath the trees and coastal dunes lie networks of blast shelters, underground command centers, and sealed ammo vaults built into the terrain. In 2012, the United States government completely shut down all public and tourist access to the atoll. Today, the surrounding waters are strictly monitored by the United States Coast Guard and federal authorities. Landing on either island without high-level federal permits will result in immediate military interception, heavy fines, and federal charges. Decades of Cold War fortification completely severed from the outside world. Yet secret exclusion zones aren't confined to distant oceans. Shifting the satellite lens straight into America's largest metropolis reveals an island with a much darker history. Floating in the East River between the Bronx and Manhattan lies North Brother Island, a completely abandoned, tree-covered sanctuary hiding right in the shadow of the New York skyline. Looking closer through the dense canopy, satellite views reveal nature swallowing decades of history. Rising out of the water sits a massive rusted iron ferry gantry where ships once docked. Deep inside the thick forest, two towering brick chimneys stand beside collapsed roofs, weathered brick wards, and cracked concrete roads overgrown with trees. This wasn't just an ordinary island. In the late 1800s, the city built Riverside Hospital here to forcibly isolate patients suffering from highly contagious infections like smallpox and yellow fever. This very island served as the permanent quarantine prison for Typhoid Mary, who was confined here for decades for the rest of her life. Abandoned completely in 1963, the island is now a protected bird sanctuary and strictly off-limits to the public. The surrounding waters are constantly patrolled by the New York Police Department Harbor Unit. Attempting to step foot on this island will result in immediate arrest, heavy trespassing fines, and potential jail time. A forgotten quarantine zone reclaimed by nature right in front of millions of people. But shifting our view from this urban ruin across 4,000 miles of open Pacific, we arrive at an island operating on a completely different scale of military secrecy. Kwajalein Atoll forms one of the largest coral lagoons on Earth, operating as a massive catcher's mitt for intercontinental missiles fired over 4,000 miles away from California. Zooming into the Ring of Islets, satellite imagery reveals unbelievable artifacts. In the shallow water lies the overturned, rusting hull of the Prince Eugen, a heavy German warship that survived 2 atomic test detonations before capsizing here. On nearby Amalek Island, a secluded launch pad marks where SpaceX launched its very first rocket into orbit, right beside high-powered space tracking radars. This entire atoll operates as the primary target grid for the United States missile defense system. Unarmed test warheads are regularly launched across the entire ocean straight toward this lagoon, where advanced ground sensors and atmospheric interceptors track and neutralize them mid-flight. While military personnel and their families live on the main island using bicycles instead of cars, the surrounding testing waters are heavily restricted. Entering this lagoon during active military testing will trigger immediate interception by armed patrol ships, resulting in federal prosecution and severe security charges. An entire ocean lagoon converted into a target range for hypersonic warheads. But high-level secrecy isn't only built out at sea. Shifting the satellite lens into the mountains of Pennsylvania brings us to a command hub carved directly into solid rock. Hidden inside a mountain near the Maryland-Pennsylvania border lies Raven Rock, a massive subterranean military fortress known as Site R, or the Underground Pentagon. Zooming into satellite imagery, the mountain looks normal at first, but subtle clues reveal a massive underground city. At the very summit sits a fortified communications compound with heavy radio towers. At the base, wide concrete portal entrances plunge straight into the rock face, sitting just down the road from a large military helipad. Carved deep into solid granite during the Cold War, this facility was engineered to house the Department of Defense during extreme national emergencies. Sealed behind massive blast doors several meters thick, stand freestanding 3-story structures built directly inside hollowed-out caverns. This subterranean complex operates with its own power plant, independent water system, and stockpiles designed to sustain life for months in total isolation. The entire perimeter is strictly controlled by armed military police and advanced surface sensors. There are no public signs or markers on satellite maps indicating its true purpose. Trespassing near these mountain portals guarantees immediate federal detainment, classified interrogation, and severe federal security charges. By the way, if you want a full dedicated deep dive video on any of these mysterious locations, let me know in the comments down below. An entire military command center buried under solid rock. But while Raven Rock shelters ground operations, our 7th location takes subterranean engineering to an even more extreme scale. Buried under 2,000 feet of solid rock near Colorado Springs lies the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, a legendary space tracking fortress operated by the United States Space Force. Tracing the access roads on the map, you can spot 2 heavy concrete portals on opposite sides of the mountain, linked together by a curved tunnel drilled straight through the rock. High above on the peak sit fortified antenna towers, while guarded checkpoints block the roads leading down below. Deep inside this hollowed-out granite chamber stands a full-scale military city consisting of 15 independent 3-story buildings. To absorb massive shockwaves and seismic vibrations, every single building inside is suspended on giant steel springs, sealed behind blast doors weighing 25 tons each. The surrounding perimeter is heavily fortified with automated barriers, armed patrols, and movement sensors. Approaching either portal without top-secret clearance guarantees immediate military interception, federal detention, and classified security charges. A spring-mounted military city hidden inside solid granite. But state secrets aren't only guarded inside underground bunkers shifting from the mountains of Colorado to the ancient forests of California. Our 8th location reveals a private sanctuary where the world's power elite meet in total secrecy. Tucked behind ancient redwood trees along California's Russian River lies Bohemian Grove, a private 2,700-acre estate hidden beneath an impenetrable forest canopy. Zooming in on the satellite map, a modest wooden gatehouse sits right along Bohemian Avenue. Just past the security loop, the asphalt vanishes completely under a dense green ceiling of 300-foot trees, concealing the private camps, amphitheaters, and artificial lake hidden beneath. Since 1872, this sanctuary has hosted the exclusive summer retreat for the Bohemian Club, bringing together U.S. presidents, billionaires, and military commanders. Behind the casual retreat lies massive historical weight. In 1942, a top-secret meeting held right inside these woods helped launch the Manhattan Project, the classified development of the world's first nuclear bomb. Alongside shaping global war strategy, members participate in bizarre theatrical traditions, most notably the Cremation of Care ceremony held before a giant 40-foot stone owl statue. During active summer gatherings, the surrounding forest turns into a heavily guarded perimeter monitored by private security, thermal cameras, and local law enforcement. Infiltrating these private redwoods without official membership access leads to immediate detention and severe trespassing charges. A private sanctuary where political elites shaped world history beneath giant redwoods. But while Bohemian Grove protects elite gatherings, our 9th location buries a completely different kind of human legacy deep inside solid rock. Carved into the sheer granite cliffs of Utah's Little Cottonwood Canyon lies the Granite Mountain Records Vault, a massive, nuclear-hardened archive built deep inside a mountain peak. Zooming into the cliff face, satellite views reveal 4 massive, arched tunnel entrances cut directly into solid stone. Just down the canyon road sits Perpetual Storage, a secondary subterranean vault facility built into the same granite formation. Constructed by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, these blast-proof mountain caverns plunge over 600 feet into solid rock. Inside, climate-controlled tunnels protect billions of genealogical records, historical microfilms, and critical digital backups from natural disasters, nuclear blasts, and electromagnetic interference. The facility is guarded 24/7 by armed security personnel, motion detectors, and heavy reinforced blast doors. Public access inside these mountain archives is strictly forbidden, and unauthorized entry onto the access road results in immediate detention and federal trespassing charges. A nuclear-hardened data fortress carved deep into solid granite. But for our 10th and final site, secrecy isn't enforced by modern military technology, but by a settlement frozen in time. Deep in the California desert lies Bodie, a massive 19th century gold rush boomtown, preserved in total isolation. Zooming in on the valley floor, satellite views reveal dozens of weathered wooden structures scattered across the dirt grid. On the eastern slope, sits the massive timber frame of the Standard Stamp Mill, towering over Main Street, the old hotel, and the historic Methodist Church. Once a wild mining hub of 10,000 people, Bodie was completely abandoned by the mid-1900s. Preserved in a state of arrested decay, the town was left untouched, with original furniture, store inventories, and personal belongings remaining exactly where their owners left them decades ago. While open to visitors during daylight hours, the entire town enters a strict military-style lockdown at night. Armed state park rangers, surface sensors, and thermal cameras patrol the perimeter 24/7. Entering after dark or removing even a single nail from the property results in immediate arrest and severe federal preservation penalties. 10 restricted zones, classified bunkers, and secret sites hidden right on Google Maps. Which of these locations surprised you the most? And remember, we can make a full dedicated deep dive video on any single site from this list. Tell us in the comments down below which location you want a dedicated breakdown on, because your feedback directly shapes our future videos. Subscribe for more satellite breakdowns, and I'll see you in the next one.